All right. And we are live. Welcome to 2024 and the last word with LordCognito, Ebontis, and Ty Guy Travis, who's having a conniption.
Yep.
And he is back in rare form. And we are talking back at the Destiny Campfire. Happy New Year, everyone. Good to see everybody in the chat. Let's start off, as always, with the cheetah. How are we doing, sir? How's things been for you?
Doing good.
Mhm.
Kind of hung out with family that was close by for the holidays, checked in with some. Pretty light for holiday stuff in general. We had a little bit of Destiny stuff come up, but not too much. Finished up Dave the Diver, finished up Spider-Man. I did,
Oh,
did finish the story on Spider-Man. I enjoyed it.
wow.
I
Okay,
can
okay.
swing around in Spider-Man for a while. I know like Travis is a little less on those, like God of
Mhm.
War and Spider-Man. But something about just like the comic books and swinging around and being Spider-Man doing the combat, I have a good time doing it. It's always fun. Actually, what I really want to get to though, now that I was trying to like put a bow on Spider-Man, get that one done. The Valhalla DLC for God of War is what I really want to jump into because I've
I heard
heard
that's really good.
fantastic things about that. So
Yeah.
that's one I really want to get into. And then on my Steam Deck, I started playing a couple different things. I've got the Pathless I'm working through.
Wow, that's
Um,
a throwback.
yeah, just some older. And I've literally just been going on the Steam Deck, like what indies did I not get to, and just download them all and see which ones
Mm.
I'm feeling. And then, as I know, kind of one of my first variety stream games that I kind of want to
Mhm.
get to, depending on what comes out this year, I want to get to Sea of Stars. So on the Steam Deck, I was trying to jump into the Messenger, their first one.
Oh, wow, you taking it back. All
So
right.
just having a little fun
Sabotage.
with
Yeah.
with those. Yeah, Christmas Day was fun though. Enzo, we
Mhm.
went to my sister's for Christmas dinner, hung out for a good bit. I was requested to make the mashed potatoes, so I did. Uh, Basic, but I was like, apparently there may have been issues previously with potatoes, so I make a pretty good mashed potato, or at least my wife likes them, so those were good. Anyway, we get home. Enzo had a rough day, and unfortunately,
Uh-oh.
it was all over the house. So,
Oh.
and then twice overnight, so it was a whole thing. We got him on some medicine. He's good. Um,
Oh,
Travis
wow.
just
Okay.
insulted me hardcore there. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yo, that's wild. That's wild,
Honestly,
Trav. You
that's what
wild.
you looked
Don't
like
you
at the
can't
start
do
of the podcast. You looked like that at the start of the podcast. So, but no, Enzo, he just, I mean, tummy issues
My
for a
boy said.
dog. We took him to the vet, and the vet was, it's one of those times when, like, if a doctor is like completely unfazed, it's actually a good thing. He's
Mhm.
like, oh, yeah, this for a dog. Here you go, take this. He'll be fine. When they're like, when they're unfazed, they're like, oh, yeah, just kind
Yeah.
of an upset tummy. Give him this. He'll be
Oh, okay,
fine.
okay.
It's like zero to worry about kind of
Yeah.
tone. It's a good
Well,
thing.
good.
Um,
Good.
so he was like, no big deal. Enzo's good. Enzo's going to be 10 this year, which is crazy. And Ryan's going to be 12
Wow.
this year.
Wow. They're
So,
getting there. They're getting up there.
yep. Um,
Mhm.
that was Christmas night to walk home and be like, Merry Christmas. Just, bleep storm in the house. And then twice overnight. And we're like, we didn't sleep well to say the least. But
Yeah, that's bad.
enjoyed some
That sucks.
time. Let's goes wise, working through Reacher.
Wow, you watching
Uh,
shows?
I enjoy I don't know if you guys have watched Reacher. It's fun though, because as opposed Tom Cruise is a good actor, I think, and he did as well as he could. But Reacher is like 6'5", 250, and then
Mhm.
Alan Richson, I think is his name, 6'3", and he's about 245 this season. Dude is just
Jesus.
massive. He
That's
is a
ridiculous.
beast.
It's
So
ridiculous.
it's just fun to see him just take no BS or anything. And then I started Percy Jackson and the Olympians. First couple episodes were interesting on Disney Plus. So kind
Nice.
of, hanging out with the wife and having some food. And now that we enjoyed all the food, and we're going to be healthy now. Start off the year.
Nice. All right. Good for you, Trav. What about you? How was this time off where you did all the relaxation? You did no work.
Yeah.
I want to hear all about the rest and relaxation
Oh.
you did.
Well, I didn't kill myself, so I think it's
You're,
another successful
Jesus.
break for me. Yeah, I mean, this time of year always sucks because there's not a lot of work I can do. But I put some time in some other stuff. Got some
Ooh,
writing done. Did some
ooh.
comedy. I caught up on
Oh,
games. That was a big one.
okay.
I caught up on all the games I didn't have time to finish. Baldur's Gate 3. Did some visual novels, some dating sims.
Okay.
Whole bunch of stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
like that E watches Reacher. I feel like from a fellow meat box, that is like the meat box he looks up to.
That's the chief.
I mean, that dude is a
our hero.
beast.
Yeah, we all have a North Star as
you guys know that guy is in Fast and Furious now, right?
He's in Fast X. Yeah, I saw him in the recent one.
Yeah.
He actually, what I knew him from long before, and I'm actually good to see him get some success. He was Aquaman in Smallville years ago, and then I hadn't seen much from him, and then he like fit the Reacher bill perfectly. So just good to see him get some success now. He seems like a pretty good dude.
Yeah, so I'm mostly just waiting for the year to start, which should be coming pretty soon here.
I don't think you're gonna have to wait long.
Well, yeah. My first review is supposed to be a game called Pal World. Are you guys familiar with this game?
I've seen a little bit on it.
It's a game on Steam that kind of looks like Pokemon, but all the Pokemon have guns.
That's right. I remember this now.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds hilarious.
Look, if there was ever a more Travis game to review,
yes.
I can't think of it right now. So that is a great way to start the year. I think it's going to be a great year filled with great games to review. I'm very excited for that. But in the meantime, I'm just sort of getting my bearings, catching up on games that I missed last year, and excited for a cool year. How about you? Oh, I also caught up on Destiny. That was what I did all day yesterday. I'm fully caught up on all the Destiny stuff. I have all the exotics and whatnot.
Hey, check your exotic
how about
box,
you, E?
Lucky.
Yeah, I mean, for me, personal side, definitely first time I legit disconnected from social media for a while. And it felt good. I was like, man, I ain't missed much. I was cool with this for a bit. So that was fun just to kind of not have that responsibility of looking at anything and stuff like that. As far as like getting to meet up with people I haven't seen in a while. Actually King came through, he came through to the crib. I got to see him.
Nice.
A lot of the old guard. And then I think we got together. This was, I can't remember when, but me, Sav, and a couple of other friends, we got together. We saw Aquaman. So I thought
was it? I mean,
it's a movie.
Is it a popcorn flick? But I mean, low tier popcorn flick.
Yeah, total popcorn. It's not terrible. It's just know what
Flash
you're here
or
for.
Aquaman?
The most recent one?
Yeah.
The most recent Flash? I was one of the weird ones that didn't hate the most recent Flash.
I mean, I had fun because I mean, Ezra Miller aside, Michael Keaton, I think, had fun making that, so I actually had a good time.
This one, I guess, I would give Flash the edge because of the Michael Keaton and the little nostalgic things for old heads like me. So I will give Flash the edge. But I did like this one for people who are, I'm not like a big Aquaman guy, but I know the traditional look and the traditional suits and things. They brought some of that back. And then they had his brother who kind of played like how Aquaman would look in like, the comics and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was cool. They had that. And then, it was some cool set pieces, some fun stuff. More just time to catch up. What else? Game wise, I played a lot of Destiny. I know that. I did. You know what? I actually played. And I'm embarrassed to say this. I haven't played a Call of Duty in like over 12 years.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? Let me see. Why was I like, this ain't that big? I was blown away. I've been playing Call of Duty in so long. I'm thinking this.
What did you play?
I mean, there's
Warzone?
I played the campaign.
There's giant budgets in those campaigns.
Yeah,
you talking about the campaign from this year that's like 3 hours
that everybody
long?
hate. I'm sitting there like, they storming the prison. This is like an action movie. Woo, you could do a stealth mission wow, this is fun. Like
this was the 3.5 hour like Game Awards joke, right? This one?
Bro, I am so out of touch with Call of Duty that, like, I know hardcore guys are like, they just reused assets. I'm telling you, like, this ain't it. For my casual not playing Call of Duty self in years, I was like, that's kind of fire.
Well, I mean, I heard it was part Warzone and the open spaces weren't like that great. So, I mean, if you have been playing and you've been playing Warzone, it probably looked very familiar. If you haven't played in a decade, then I could see somebody having fun with that. But
I mean, there's some good Call of Duty content, but it's all in Warzone. Like if you're playing
Warzone.
Yeah, if you're like Warzone is where it's at. Warzone is actually a legit game, and it's very clear that that's where the Call of Duty teams are putting all of their effort because the main game is pretty bad. I mean, considering.
Graphically
So.
though, I ain't gonna front though.
Oh yeah,
it's a looker, boy.
There's a reason. There's a reason. There's some money there.
So you got that. What else I was rocking? Started Baldur's Gate. Shout out to Sinister Entertainment. I gotta be honest, Sinister, I see you in the chat and the homies. I don't know if I could continue to play that game fully in co-op. I feel like I'm losing out on certain things because like certain people, because like Addict and other people, if certain people are in it, like they could just go around and making choices and they're doing stuff, and you could see their cinemas by pressing left trigger on what they're doing, and you can suggest what things they can do. Yeah, and then you got to dismiss party members and stuff like that. And then I heard the real fun happen at the campfire. Like at the campfire. That's where I heard. I mean, Trav, you must know. I heard like it goes down at the campfire.
It does go down.
That's what I heard. So
I mean, it's basically like the Mass Effect formula, right? Except for I think they do a better job of spreading it out. So rather of like, 15 hours of foreplay and then a cutscene, you kind of get to the relationship evolves over time. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Shout out to Sinister. He has some power that was able to talk this animal, this wild owl thing.
Owl bear? I've heard of that thing.
Yeah, and they had the little baby owl bear.
I've heard of this instance. Yeah, I haven't played this thing yet, but
I was like, we're gonna fight it. And then he calmed it down. And then we fought it. It almost killed us, but we beat it. And we like, all right, we're gonna save the baby. We're not gonna be ruthless. So the baby looked at it. It has this very emotional scene, goes up to the big owl thing, sad, cries, and then within seconds starts gorging and devouring the mother live. I'm like, yo, what is this National Geographic?
Yeah. There are so many things in that game that at some point I let
that happen.
That's the right
choice, by the way.
Like a scheduled stream, like a weekly, like every Monday night I play it for a few hours. I feel like it's the only way I could ever work through a game like that because I really want to, because 100 hours of just every choice matters and so many different things. And I saw somebody on Twitter like, I went back to play and kind of wandered around Act 1 a little more, and this whole thing's optional kind of thing. So it's that type of stuff that it feels like it's kind of necessary gaming at some point.
It's not that bad. You can do it. It's just not the type of game where you need to like regret your decisions or like backtrack and see what the other path was or try to do like completionist. Basically, my philosophy is like full chaos theory, run through, make decisions, never look back, don't care what you missed. And then when you get to the end, then you can decide if it's worth like replaying it and trying other stuff. But yeah, I think people play Baldur's Gate 3 wrong. I think they play it with like this. I'm going to do the perfect run. I'm all the right decisions, and I'm going to have all these specific things happen. And all the work involved in doing that, I think, takes away the fun of the game, which is like just shoving your life through the narrative and not caring, who gets hurt in the process. Which I think modern RPGs are really obsessed with, like. This is the right way to do it, and if you work extra hard, you can get this like specific stuff. Like actually, Mass Effect is a great example of that. Like everyone wants a perfect outcome ending. I just think some RPGs are ill suited for that, and I think that's kind of a good thing.
No, the game's great, and I will say the voice acting's top tier. I have to give them this. The facial animations are next level. Like, it's not even close. Like, nobody really messing with them on them. The way they emote, the way they, you know what I mean? Like, it's really powerful stuff to me. So that and
Forbidden West.
Forbidden West is the other one I've seen. That's probably
Forbidden West. I'm sorry, Forbidden West. Yes, I gotta give Forbidden West that.
Yeah.
So you will laugh, Travis. I literally have my character is a little dwarven.
Oh, I saw it on Twitter.
Monk. He's a short Draugr monk. He's extra beefy with big forearms, and he's super short. So you got to see my character. Like everyone laughs. They was like, you literally made yourself this short, beefy meat box that runs around is very aggressive.
Please tell me you're like romancing somebody who's like 2 feet taller than you or something.
I can't get to the romance because we keep playing 4 players, so I gotta not play with people at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's definitely like a secondary run thing where you're playing with other people. My character is an exceedingly handsome drow elf with platinum hair. He looks like an anime character or a sexy vampire.
You look like
everybody's
the guy
everybody's trying to hop on him. You know.
Yeah. You said did it look like what?
Does he look like the guy, the voice actor who won the award for who he played? He's like the silver-haired vampire guy. Does he look like him, or he didn't turn out that way?
No, my guy looks he looks way better.
What's your
I don't know
class?
how to describe it.
Apparently, you're
a total hunk. I'm a bard, obviously.
A bard.
Oh yeah,
I talk my way out of it. I can talk my way out of everything. I don't even think I've engaged in combat more than a handful of times. I can just
really,
just talk your way out of everything.
Does that Tom Hardy little music thing just fit even more perfectly for your guy? I've listened to that thing more times than I probably should say, but it's just this stupid, catchy thing that's 2 minutes long, and I laugh my ass off every so often. I'm just like, yep, this is so funny. Perception Check is what it's called by Tom Hardy.
Perception, yes.
So good.
And the last
I do have I do have the what is it called? The taunt thing.
Vicious Mockery or something?
Vicious Mockery. Yeah, I do have Vicious Mockery. I don't really use Vicious Mockery that much though, but like I think I'm like literally max, unless I roll a nat 1, I'm succeeding any intimidation, persuasion, what doesn't matter. Like I'm
destroy those. So you have bonuses on those checks and stuff when they
I think I have like +8 to 10 on all of them. So like if I get a 2 and the difficulty is like 15, I'll still succeed it. Like odds are, so I don't think I've failed any checks, but
I love that aspect of it.
I turned off the karmic dice as soon as I got the game because it's stupid, and if I fail a roll, that's so be it. That's just how it's gonna be.
That's
dog,
what you want.
I'm just going in. I'm going in full chaos.
All right. Yeah, that's it. And then the last thing was messed around with Persona 5 Tactica. Mess around with that.
If it's turn-based, I obviously see you playing that.
It's cool. It's cool. It's definitely wacky. Way too much talking between every little sentence, way too much loading between a lot of stuff. But the combat is fun. I just don't know how long I'm going to stick with it. I'm maybe 6 hours, 5-6 hours in it. But you could tell there's a little less production value than a full Persona game, and that's my only issue with it. But the combat itself in turn-based, they are doing some kind of fun little cool things, but it's challenging. It's very challenging. So that's pretty much most of that, and a ton of Destiny, which we'll get into.
Actually.
What you got?
So have you guys heard of Once Human? This is what I mentioned, Travis. So Once Human is, obviously we all heard about the day before and the nothing burger that it was. Like, absolutely scam, whatever. Once Human had this little tweet shortly after their whole fiasco saying, hey, if you want a real kind of open world survival game, come check us out. And they had this beta client. I probably should have signed up sooner. And it got to the point where it got really popular. Their Discord has 100,000 people in it or something. It is absolutely massive. And the Discord is where people were getting codes, because if you didn't sign up and get a code early enough, then you had to go through this lottery drawing, which was absolutely a mess. Like, the way to get a code was, once it got to a point it was so popular, like King Gathalion was streaming it for a while. He's actually been really raving about it on Twitter and having fun with it. He's had like raids and gear and looting and survival. It's a combination of a lot of things. I finally ended up getting a code because they were dropping these codes for like New Year's giveaways. I think it was New Year's, a couple days before New Year's Eve, and they were dropping them. And we're talking like 100 in a Discord text at a time, and I would just scroll, pick one, and the game open, literally copy, paste, activation code taken. They were taken so fast.
So fast. Yeah.
And then another one was doing pictures, and people were using the ability, like an extension on Google Chrome, to pull the text out of the picture just so they could copy it fast enough. They were doing that, so that was a mess. Then they were going to start DMing people. I don't even know if that ever happened. Finally, it was just one of the ones where they dropped like 500. I just scrolled pretty high up the post, copied one, and it took. And I'm like,
Finally.
So I was like, that was a mess for a few days because they gave away like 20,000 one day. I got none of those. They gave away 20, and that was like Christmas Day, and I was dealing with Enzo stuff. Then this one was coming. I logged in. While it does have some jank to it, I think there actually might be something to this one.
Hmm.
It's supposedly for around Q3 is what they're shooting for, with maybe another beta in Q2. And I feel like they've got some ways to go, but you've got guns that if you get a Desert Eagle, like you'll level it up. You've got different ammo that you'll use. You've got survival, so you'll build a base. You're gonna go, and it's fully open world in this little part of the map that I've been exploring. I zoomed out and looked. The map is massive.
Mhm.
It's just one of those, I think, given time, there's things kind of like dungeons or Lost Sector kind of like things. There's different activity levels, and early on it's pretty minimal but it's just the enemies are unique. The opening is a very bizarre cutscene opening kind of tutorial thing, but just the world
Mhm.
building of it's very odd. Then you kind of drop out of a door in the sky into the world. It's an odd one to say the least, but it
Mhm.
is one that I've got, I don't know, a couple more days, I think 20 days or so left in the beta that I'm in.
Mhm.
And the servers, like as the servers progress a couple of days, it's kind of like World of Warcraft. You pick a server to be on,
Right.
and then you just have a character on that server. But every couple of days, more of things open up as you go along. So every few days, a little more opens, a little more opens, a little more opens. So depending on how far you're in, it opens up. But I mean, shooting didn't feel like, it's like everything was kind of like okay.
Right.
It does feel like it needs some polish and work on a few things, but I mean, if you take like the day before, which was just absolute trash
Yeah.
fire, nothingness,
Yeah.
this
Hustle.
there is there's meat on this one right now, but it's
All right.
still, it needs some polish, it needs some work. It's just one I would watch. It's called Once Human. I don't even know if you can get in the beta at this point. I'll probably stream it a few more times, but just even running around, leveling up, because you've got the survival parts. You can deal with like thirst and hunger a little bit, but it doesn't seem too overbearing. The stamina, you can run for a long time before you actually run out of stamina, but it's still a little bit there. But then you're like crafting weapons and then upgrading your gear, and then they've got, like set bonuses and gear bonus perks, and you've got tiers of loot like a
Very,
looter
very
shooter.
division.
Yeah, it
Divisiony.
does have a division, but also a
Mhm.
sci-fi element, because one of the first things that you see,
Outriders.
Outriders.
it's like Outriders kind of division, but it's so weird. It's like I can't figure out what happened lore-wise in the world, but one of the first things you do, and it's like you'll see this in any opening beta, um, a big giant radio tower kind of like stands up out of the ground and then starts walking at you. And like one of the little enemies is like you picture like on a stage production what a spotlight would look like. That's like the
Mhm.
head of an anybody walking around with a body. But if like that looks at you, then it's like an alarm. So they're
Right.
just kind of unique with some things. And I'm
Mhm.
probably not describing it well, but I mean, Gathalion doesn't do YouTube videos that often, but he did a 25-minute video after playing it for 100 hours, and something he's like really looking forward to. So I was like, I can't describe all of it that well, but I do feel like it's one that I wouldn't totally sleep on, but I can't fully sell it yet either. I got to spend more
All right.
time in it too. It's just, it was a pain in
What's
the
the
ass
name
to
of
get
that
it.
guy?
It's called Once Human, what it's called.
Once Human.
Um,
Yeah, it looks weird.
yeah, so it's like, I got to put more time into it over the next couple of weeks if I can find some time, but I got in and played for about 3 hours, and I'm like, I could see myself playing more is the idea. It didn't, after 3 hours, I was like, I definitely want to log back in a few.
Weird sandbox survival. All right.
Yeah. But massive
Fair enough.
map. I mean, running into different. So far, nothing was like too. The enemy AI is very weak, like in the open world, until you get into some of the instance type stuff. It seemed like, and that was
Mhm.
very true from what I saw. But if you get into some of the other stuff, I mean, they were pressing him pretty hard, and high level gear and different things. So it's just one to keep an eye on. I think that's the best
Yeah.
way I can say it for now.
Decent.
Yep.
Decent looking. Interesting art
Yeah.
style. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a NetEase game. So,
Shadebinder.
you can take that for what you will. And Gathalion, actually, when
Mhm.
he had him on, he did an interview with him. I think he was just asking me, he's
Mhm.
like, all right, so what's the NetEase stuff? What are we doing? Microtransaction. And one of the developers was very adamant. It's like only cosmetic, trying to only do no pay to win type stuff. So again, there's a lot of question marks to this game, but just one that could have something maybe. We'll see.
Some potential.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I think that covers what we have been up to. Catch up with you gents for that.
Yeah,
Next thing to talk about is the other stuff that we've been playing. But
yeah.
before we get to what we've been doing in the game, I wanted to ask you guys what loadouts you've been using since Season of the Wish started, or anything you've come across. Like, what loadouts have you guys either something new, something that surprised you? What have you been up to? What have you been using?
Start
Dog
jump. Oh,
or
sure.
yeah?
Yeah. I think for me it's a few things actually. I think the weapons from was it Season of the Wish. I'm actually a fan of. I like the I'm stuck on the what is it scatter the fusion
Fusion's
the
very good.
the fusion is strong with control burst. That is kind of
Control
dominated my
burst and
kinetic.
overflow.
Yeah, that's dominated my kinetic slot.
Yep.
Surprisingly, the what you call it, the trace, the stasis trace.
Stasis trace.
Yeah, killing tally and I believe it's either killing tally and overflow, I think, or killing tally and yeah, killing tally overflow. That one's been surprisingly good for me as well. Obviously, solar. They want you to play solar this season. It's so solar heavy with radiant and
So
stuff like that.
much, yeah.
Trust the old sunshot, man. Sunshot is still
That's
outside.
what final
Yeah,
boss. That was my solo flawless
bro.
weapon. Sunshot
So
was
it's beastie. And I will say because of dawning, I got the god roll, the
avalanche.
avalanche with rewind and target lock.
Yep.
Very strong. Oh, it's a world drop. There's another 450. It's a strand machine gun.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about.
I got triple threat and onslaught on this.
That's the one I'm
It's
looking for. Yeah, I
disgusting.
can't get the onslaught roll on that.
Yeah, it's like I'm cheating. It's like when I'm cheating. So yeah, I would say those.
Yeah, I got triple tap and adagio. The other direction.
The other one, the other direction. Yeah, the other direction. Other than that, did you get the void auto? That's another world drop. That's very hard to get.
I do have a good roll on that. I'm trying to remember. Hold on, I gotta find it.
Yeah, Ross something.
Yeah.
Ross. Yeah.
Oh, somebody will probably have a name for this. I find.
Yeah, it's void. It's a bit jumpy, but it's a 600. It's really good. And I think I got onslaught on that one too. The fact that they're bringing onslaught back with breakneck and stuff like that was interesting.
Yeah, breaknecks and gambit, but I'm not playing that much gambit. You want to know the funny one? If you want to see somebody who's got too much time on their hands right now, Ross Arago 4. Yeah, I got rewind rounds and onslaught with appended mag and the corkscrew. So I'm like, extended mag on that one. So yeah, that one I got locked. I'm like, good on that one.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
No, it was Tassie tweeted that he was saying, "Oh, he got a good gun, but it was breakneck from Gambit, but he had three perks in the third column and 2 perks in the other, because that's like at least 3 resets of Gambit or something to get that weapon." And I was like, that's a lot of Gambit.
That's a lot of Gambit.
That's a lot of 3 resets of Gambit. Is a lot of Gambit. That's something I have not put much into.
He actually defends Gambit. He's like, yeah, it's fast, it's easy, it's fun. I'm like, I mean, it's fast and easy. I don't know about fun though. That's like
every so often, if I'm not forced into it, I've booted it up over the seasons to either work on whatever. Maybe it's triumphs or something. Maybe it's later in a season. It's like, now that all the triumphs are open, if I do go play Gambit, I don't have to go do any extra. I'll play a little bit sometimes if I'm working for all of the seasonal challenges. And it's like a couple doses, it's fine, but I don't take it seriously at all. I can't. I just can't, because
it's
like, Trav,
it's
you
soul
be
sucking. It's
angry
terrible
when you play Gambit. Like you would be like, "This is I cannot."
terrible.
Like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, look, strikes are still the worst. Strikes are still like bottom of the barrel. Like I would rather die than play that. Gambit is awful though, and if you're gonna grind one of the seasonal activities, I would say Crucible is really the only one that has any lasting power. But just because they haven't done anything with Gambit, I mean, like it's very poorly tuned. They clearly are not building their sandbox around it. They haven't updated it in a really long time. You get the same maps every time. You either get people who have literally no idea what they're doing, or god tier, like just gonna clear this match in 2 seconds people. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. Like that game mode is just in such a bad situation. So, but yeah, I mean, I've done it. I've played Gambit in recent seasons just to whatever I was grinding out. I was like, for whatever reason, but it's not like I enjoy it. That's like a turn on a show and just pretend like your life isn't wasting away.
If I find
I do
myself
not hate
like
it that way.
if I find myself like booting up Destiny, I'm like not entirely sure, but it's late enough in the season that all the seasonal challenges are open. I'm like, I haven't played Gambit, but I can do them all. I'll do some of that, but yeah, it's playing
The
with certain
one,
weapons to go
yeah,
for certain types of checking all the boxes. I don't even hardly probably play the objective well. I'm a horrible
yeah.
teammate, I'm sure.
The one for me that was driving me crazy, the way you feel about Gambit, Trav, is when they had me keep going back to the blind well this season.
Oh,
I cannot
Oh
stand
my
the blind
god,
well.
dude.
Oh my
all they did was
I
just
was
god.
make them
actually
spongier.
I
They
was
did
gonna
make them
bring that up.
spongier.
I was gonna bring that up actually. This episode is
Woo.
the season. So I think I did the first 2 weeks of Season of the Wish, and then I didn't play Destiny for a while because I was working on reviews and stuff. And so my first time playing Destiny was yesterday in like 4 weeks, and so I had to catch up on 4 weeks of this Season of the Wish. So now I'm fully caught up.
Yeah.
What an unbearable season. These guys are telling me to go do Ascendant challenges in the year 2023 of 2024, year of our Lord.
We're gonna reuse
Are
the
you
assets,
kidding me,
baby.
dude? Are you kidding me? You want me to go to the spine way out in the middle of nowhere that I have to walk to
You gotta
and
walk.
shoot at random enemies? Like, what are you thinking, man? And then to
Out of
top it off,
gas.
they're like, yeah, go do the blind well twice. Go do two
Yeah,
full
full
blind well
runs.
things.
I
It's like,
feel you.
dude, what the? It was so unnecessarily padded out. I also did coil runs. You guys were talking about,
Yep.
yeah, you just got to do it. It's fun.
Mhm.
No, it's not. It is
You co-
bad. It is
Trav,
bad,
it is not
dude.
bad. It is
It's
not
the
bad. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go.
It's the same 3 micro levels over and over and over again that have absolutely no originality to them. They're just the most Destiny things ever. It's kill these 2 witches and then you can do damage to this guy. It's like, dude, come on. How many times have we done these things? I just
We've
yeah,
never
dude, it's
done
not.
the shared pool, the shared revive pool. Come on.
Who gives it? What? Who
That's
cares?
the odds to the
First of all,
challenge. Because if you got somebody messing up, you can be like, yo, you messing up the lives.
I mean, I was playing with complete randoms and matchmaking and never got close to running out of
Yeah,
lives.
no, I
but
haven't
like,
messed
So
with
you was
lives
probably
much.
carrying them.
even if it was difficult, that doesn't make the game fun. You know what I mean?
20,
That's like
not
a detail on top of the game that is
You
not
don't like breaking the
interesting.
little pots and getting the little red things and adding to the challenge. Come on.
My
Have some
God.
fun in life. Break some
No,
pots, damn it.
Have
Jump
some
over some traps.
expectations in your life, Cog. Why?
Well,
My
They got traps.
No, my defense of the coil is the amount of time that you would spend in one run.
Oh, it is long. It is long.
It is
I get
long,
that.
but
It's long as hell.
if
I
you
give you
do
that.
like if you have a deficient run, like you know where the pots are and everybody's kind of helping each other, like get all the pots as you go.
The pots are.
But if you get
Listen to yourself.
But if you get everyone, you get 2, 4, 6, 8 bonus chests, and then you get the bonus room at the end. You can get 15, 20 drops from one run, which is probably going to be
That's a lot of legendary shards that they're going to take from me pretty soon. Really excited about all those shards I'm going to turn that loot into.
But I will say, if somebody has like, it is a weird mix, though. I will say, because Riven's Lair is 1. There's no pots, there's no bonus, nothing. You do that, you knock it out, you get like a little bit of loot. Then if you do the coil, you can get like partway through, and it's weird. It would be like, hey, does everyone want to continue? And it'd be nice if it did that, or if it would end or something like that. Because some people like, it's like, or could you wait and get some more people in? Because it's always like 2 or 3 runs in, maybe somebody finished an objective or something. But you can get a lot of loot. So if you're looking to knock out your seasonal stuff, it is very effective. But I do feel after like the deck of cards, which could have been better, but after like the mini Hades from deep dives, it does feel, as Travis said, it's not really a roguelike because it is the same rotation every week. If it was random, if there was a couple, like 1 or 2 more branches, if you've played enough, you've seen them all. That's the thing. When I've gone through,
it's like they took 3 small events that they were giving to you 1 a week, and they put them all together in one activity that they make you play in one big gulp. And then
Iron Man match
by adding a shared res pool and pots you can break. Talk about the minimum effort required to satisfy Destiny fans who have lowered the bar so incredibly low that now they
never
decided
did this.
about breaking
And we
pots.
just lost our podcast guest in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Congratulations. You have now reached the age of gaming discovered in 1928 with The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. You can now break pots. You need to get a grip. Go play other games, dude.
No,
Come
listen,
on.
you miserable. We always say this game is too easy. These seasonal challenges is too easy, and the game progressively gets harder. And what I like about it, again, you're not if you don't want to have the time commitment. I feel you. If you feel it's not creative enough, okay, fair. I feel you. I just like that they have what I consider the hardcore Iron Man match. And if you want to sit there and you want to devote your time and get rewarded, you can. But, it's not for everybody, clearly. Clearly, I liked it. Nobody else
Well,
liked
I
it.
would say it's different as opposed to running a strike and then doing strikes over and over. It's like if you want to just knock, if, as you said, if you're going to play with a couple friends, and you knock it out for like an hour and a half and you get all the loot and you get a full run, you're going to get a lot from your time spent in it, which I do think they balance the loot side of it very well. I think there's the bonus loot that you get from the chest every time you open one. And if you can get a full platinum run, which isn't easy, but it's doable. If you can get all the way through that, it does feel very loot rewarding in a generous way. But if you run it a lot, like I've run it solo, after running it
Wow.
it took me about an hour and 45 minutes. I just wanted to see if I could get through the 4th level, and it's like it's balanced
What loadout
reasonably.
you running in there?
What?
Beastin'. What loadout you running in there?
Same thing. Yeah, I hadn't got to my loadout. So
Titans. That's
no.
what it is. You got Titans.
Titans, yeah. Yeah, you're not hurting with a Well of Radiance ever, so you can kiss my butt.
Well, it's kind of nerf. Not like y'all right now.
Well of Radiance is not nerfed.
It's not as strong as it used to be.
What's it not do?
It's not as strong as y'all running around with that banner of whatever and that new stuff y'all doing.
I'm not even using Banner of War. I don't still actually have Banner of War. I don't. I haven't actually got around to getting it.
You ain't get you straight.
I didn't get that one. I have everything else, but I don't. But no, I've been using Precious Scars. And you want to know why I'm using Precious Scars the whole damn time? And I hate the modifier that was on the very first week when I did it was Togetherness. And that modifier
that is annoying. That
can
one
go
annoying.
because as a solo player, it's on the whole time. So I have to have something healing me the whole time. That's why Precious Scars, then Dragon's Breath, Callous Mini Tool, both solar weapons to help with Precious Scars in my solar build. And then the fusion rifle you're talking about, just any fusion rifle in that spot. But yeah, if not that, then whatever heavy, and then Sunshot's been freaking amazing. But
yeah, Sunshot's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Solar Titan's strong. I still have fun with like Bonk Hammer. There's times it's a little slow, but I soloed flawless the dungeon with that thing, so it's still good. But yes, pots were in Sega games, pots were in all those things. Either way, all I'm saying, the loot generosity is very nice for the time that you spend in the activity. I will give it that. But yes, once you play
what do you do with the loot? What is the point of the loot in Destiny?
I'm unlocking
pattern.
What
I was
unlocking anything.
I was unlocking patterns.
It's a legit getting a cool gun.
I wanted the fusion rifle.
What are you supposed to use the gun for? What events do you need the gun for?
I use the fusion rifle for my solo dungeon run because it's controlled burst, overflow on a crafted weapon that everybody can get. And for a fusion rifle, you pair it with the artifact, where if you do strand effect, you can do more damage. So then if you can pair being radiant, then you do a strand effect, then you do more damage, and then I switch over and my whole loadout's lighten up, and that's where I grinded it. So it's mainly the fusion rifle this season has been my number one go-to. Now that I've got the fusion rifle, I haven't been playing as much, but the fusion rifle was my main grind because it's a craftable weapon that is very good with controlled burst. That was my main one, I will tell you that.
So you needed to grind out an activity.
It's Destiny, man. If you don't want to play the game, come on.
Wait, hold on.
Let him go. Let him cook.
To get an ultra powerful fusion rifle so that you could do a dungeon you'd already done by yourself.
Yeah.
Just to clarify. Okay. This sounds like great Destiny to me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I am all about playing Destiny alone. That is really what the game's all about. It always has been.
Oh, it's not about
Fire Team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, Fire Team is a solo term. Fire Team of one. Everybody knows this.
I can't wait till your wedding so I can just slap you one time.
It's like
one
changing
time.
pronouns on us. Right?
One time for all the podcast episodes.
True
One
meaning
slap.
of fire tea.
I can't with this game right now, man. I
feel
don't
you.
know
You
if
burnt out.
did
You
I
burnt
OD on it yesterday? Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
He burnt
I
out,
just-
y'all. He burnt out. He
I
needed a little
just
time.
here's the thing
He's
though. I
gonna
had
get a
such a
6 months
break.
So yeah.
I took a big break from Destiny, and then one day was enough to be like,
enough.
I've seen enough. I was like, I've seen enough. You guys were asking me what my loadout is. My loadout is 100% dictated by what crafted weapons and or catalysts I'm working on, because I've still got like 8 to 10 of those. And so my loadout is just a hodgepodge. My loadout is jury duty, my dudes.
Yeah, you play
my
it like
loadout.
a job.
Oh, what are you trying
I
to
mean,
do?
what are you supposed to do? Like, I've got all these
Jesus.
catalysts I've got to get done. So
when
it's
you
like,
get a catalyst, you automatically, all right, got to stop what I'm doing. You force it. I know what you're doing. Oh no.
yeah.
That is
So all right.
miserable.
New dungeon came out. Guess I'm using two-tailed fox for this thing because I need to get this damn this catalyst done. It's jury duty, man. It's
somebody get this man a Shirochi checkpoint or run him in grasp of avarice or something. Please.
Okay, but that is even sadder. Of like that, I will never do.
I would agree with you there. I give you that sad.
Of being like, I'm gonna go and do an activity that I don't want to do and have no reason to do, specifically just to exploit an area and get the catalyst done quickly. It's like, dude, I'm not about that. If I'm playing Destiny, I'd prefer to do 2 things at once. So it's like, if I'm grinding out whatever, I'll just equip whatever weapons I'm grinding. I'll multitask. Yeah, that's fine. That's efficient for me. But
okay. So your ultimate efficiency, but that is so unfun. Like you it's like homework. Like, ooh.
That's Destiny. Destiny is homework, dude. Destiny feels like homework right now. It's pretty bad. I mean, I'll just say this, like yesterday when I put down the controller, I turned a D and I was like, yo, I am so glad I'm not going to have to play this for 6 months, because I don't know if I could fairly review Final Shape in my current state. Like if Final Shape was coming next week, I would have like this pit in my stomach, you know? So I'm just going to.
This is what I want you to do. Forget when you get a new catalyst, just chill for a second. I want you, when you get a gun that drops, and you're like, yo, this feels good, I want you to stay with that and build around it. Don't worry about the exotic catalyst that you just dropped. Stay and play with what's fun and what works with your style of build. I'm telling you, your life will be better.
Advice, I would be playing a game that isn't Destiny.
You gotta have some fun with some builds, bro. You gotta build.
That's I am. I mean, look, I also have to try the new weapons, right? And what better way to do that than to equip the new exotics that I get and the new craftable weapons for that season. So I am getting to experiment with the sandbox. I'm just also kind of a victim. I'm just sort of like a slave to the grind of trying to get everything done, because
I got you.
I mean, that's part of Destiny. Destiny's always been a little bit homework. That's why I call it Star Chores. It's Star Chores.
Gotta get him back to the fun, man. You're such a reviewer. You're such a reviewer because you play with the utmost efficiency, but that is so miserable.
Dude, I'm not even playing with the utmost efficiency. Teddy is playing with the utmost efficiency. You know the way he plays the game, he doesn't even touch Destiny until the whole season is out, and then he like crams all of it in his mouth as quickly as possible just to get all the triumphs, and then as soon as he gets all the triumphs, he stops playing, like not a minute more, not a second more.
Shout out to Teddy. I did play with him over the. We did the dungeon. We did the dungeon one time. He happened to be on with me and Sim one time. He was my first one with the dungeon. But shout out to Teddy.
I mean, like I said, I think I said a couple weeks ago.
Have you talked about the dungeon yet, Dog?
No, not with you.
No.
No, I think he did. I think we had him on because I talked about it one week, and then I think the next week he was there. And we chatted about it.
I can't remember what it is.
Well, have you guys done the exotic quest?
Yes.
What did you?
Yeah, I'm fully caught up on Destiny. I did everything.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I liked the dungeon. I thought the dungeon was pretty strong. I thought the exotic quest was okay.
Mhm.
I've messed around with the bow a little bit. It's a cool weapon. I liked the lore with the
Yes.
Ahamkaras. So there's some stuff in there. It's really just like the fact that that semi-interesting exotic quest was sandwiched in between just like this kick in the balls that was, run around the dreaming city and do
Yeah.
activities that were around 6 years ago in Destiny. Like that was
Yeah.
just
I agree.
almost too much for me, man. It almost broke me.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Honestly, I felt bad for new players because that's the first time I really seen like the story progression at a halt with an exotic quest mission, right? So I'm like, well, if you're a new player and you're playing this, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a bit
Not
that's a bit
match
much.
made.
Yeah, not match made, kind of thing. So look, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not first of all, let me about the exotic quest. I love the lore. I love the story. What is it, Tamaris and
Yep.
Riven and stuff like that. I love the developing resentment and half trickery between Mara and her and the whole relationship. I get it. And obviously, we come to the realization, hey, Guardians running around slaying, and making races extinct, and kind of thing. You look at it from the other perspective, and
Guardians aren't always the good guy.
right, obviously, and then this one Ahamkara obviously sacrificed, to keep the race going, kind of thing, right? So you got that part. I like the constellation aspect with the kind of revealing the step to open up. I'm not a fan of the weapon.
Oh.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there with this yet. Like maybe when what's the last one is when it's gonna have threadling and can you have Vorpal and threadling on the same time? Or he's got to be one of the right. So I'm just like, I just don't feel the weapon power matches the lore just yet. But maybe you guys had better experience
My
with it.
hard part with that
Yeah.
weapon
Mm.
is in anything higher than
Yep.
Hero Nightfall, basic level
Agreed.
stuff, it doesn't feel strong,
Strong enough.
especially when you can put Wish Ender in its place. Wish
Exactly.
Ender, which will like triple hit with like every arrow, you can use it as a backup DPS weapon, which shout out, by the way, running with Blackwings and Schmitty,
Yeah.
did the GM this week, the Moon Battlegrounds, and we had 0 revives. We killed the 2 champions in the final room. Somehow got a couple revives. Schmitty's sitting in the corner working some of the orb dunking that you got to do in the middle of the chaos. He got 3 of them done. Then he goes down. I'm sitting way up in the rafters, like it's like a safe space, like kind of a cheese area. I have to jump down, pick up 1 orb, dunk it. Somehow I don't die, run over to a corner. That's 4 out of 5.
Right.
And then I finally got 1 more of like the chieftains or the captains, killed him, basically tried to throw as many hammers as I could so everything's on fire, because as soon as you pick up the orb, your super's gone. So picked up the orb, ran up there, dropped a wall, ran all the way back, jumped all the way up after the 5th one, and then plinked the boss down the rest of the way by myself. And I did it with Wish Ender.
Everyone's doing the hustle, right? Everyone's doing the hustle with the wall, right? We know that we have to do this, right?
Yeah. But that's why I was like, I would never do that with Wish Keeper. Wish Ender in that slot, and it's a barrier weapon, and it will break. It's just, to me, Wish Ender is so great, and Wish Keeper, to me, will not hold up in high-level stuff. If you want to have fun, and not every gun is going to be amazing in all categories, but it is definitely low stress activity use. That's where you're going to have some fun, where you can one tap little enemies and then get the little star pattern of all the traps and stuff and do that to some light enemies. But no, I can tell you the high level stuff, it doesn't feel like it's going to play well. Yeah, that's like, just my feeling so far.
No, I'm with you. Wish Keeper is like, we have anarchy at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got this little BS version with lower radius that doesn't last as long. And I agree, in high-end content, the enemies is not.
Well, and also, I think what killed this is when they nerfed Suspend. It made this weapon worse. Because Suspend, when I was running around earlier with my Titan, that was fun. Now, when they've nerfed Suspended, it feels like it lasts 2 seconds now, or whatever it is. That also killed this bow. Because the Suspend, they get up, and then they fall down again. Yeah, there's a couple traps, but the nerf to Suspend hit this one and made it even weaker than it probably would have felt.
Can they be retriggered? If
No,
they
well,
walk
you'll
back and
see the
forth?
little lines break.
Gotcha.
So like it'll
Okay.
get the weird little star pattern, and then a line will break if something hits it, and then it'll hit, and however long it lasts down there. But the lines themselves don't just
The break.
reproc.
Gotcha.
Yeah, once they're all run over, they're done.
So that was my nitpick, but I did like the lore. I did like the, for the most part, the quest itself, and I thought it was decent.
Yeah, and then feels like Bungie needed to tick the box for exotic bow strand, so they basically copy and pasted the function of Verglass Curve, and it does feel very similar. It's
I agree.
Get enough kills, and the thing about Verglass Curve is if you get a couple kills, you can at least go shoot a couple of crystals. You have to proc the whole thing to get the trap, and then I forget if it was Fallout or Datto or Cool Guy. One of them was like, when you fire the trap one, it doesn't do any damage, and then if you accidentally fire it, it's weird. It's a little too prickly for the mini. The mini game is not worth it for what the reward is, and I think that's where I don't know if they were testing a version that was way too strong and they nerfed it down or something, but it needs a fair amount of love to get into the discussion. I think right now I'm with you. It doesn't feel strong in any content that really matters. I wouldn't take it in anything that mattered.
Yeah, not anything serious. I agree.
But yeah, the lore, I thought the cinematic with Riven and Terminus, or I can't remember his name.
I always forget,
that was actually cool because it showed obviously Ahamkaras can't make their own wish. I didn't actually think about, but that was his wish was actually to kind of, save the race of Ahamkaras, and now they have the clutch of eggs that are out there and they're trying to find them all. Now, the question I wanted to ask you guys after we got done with this week was, hey, there's one more egg out there, and we know there's one more egg. Do you think it is going to happen next week or 5 months from now?
5 months from now.
5 months from now, yeah.
Okay. I was wondering if anybody was not that way because we know 2 weeks ago they spoiled themselves with Crow, because then we went to go talk to Crow. He's like, hey, we've got an idea, and we're like, we think we know what that is.
We know what that is, yeah.
So that was their own kind of spoilering. And then this week he's like, I've got an idea, I want to do it. And then Mara finally got on board. He's going to do that. And then next week, okay, here's the question. Would you rather, well, I was going to ask, would you rather it be next week, have the events happen, he goes through whatever portal, and then he's just gone for 5 months, and then Final Shape launches? Or do you feel like you'd rather wait to have almost like a reminder in that final couple of weeks or something? Where do you feel this fits better, because it is a 5 month gap?
Travis is smirking.
Sorry.
Travis is smirking. I'll answer that. I thought he had something crazy to say. Oh, no. You've been funny. No, I mean, look, of course I don't like waiting, you know what I'm saying? But it's just what they do. It's what they do.
I'm not asking what they do. What would you prefer?
What I want?
Do you feel like getting the info now of what happens and then waiting for the 5 months? Or do you like the reminder closer as kind of a little, hey, on season 2, here's a recap of season 1. Do you prefer it that way, or do you just like knock it out and we'll get to it later? What do you want? Personally, not what they do, personally.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess, if you want to, tell me the story and so I can be done with it and, wrap up, of course. Like, there's no need to necessarily hold on to it, but for whatever reason, they wanted to me, it's marketing. It's trying to set up the beat right before the new content comes out. But yeah, like, to me, like, you could easily tell this, and I mean, they technically already did, but
yeah. I was like, when Final Shape launches, somebody who buys Final Shapes and log into the game, they're going into that portal, right? So I mean, waiting now, waiting later makes it feel a little more rolled together. See, that's a personal preference. So I've got both. Travis,
maybe they'll put Crow into the portal now, and then he'll just be gone for 5 months.
You think?
I would,
and that would make sense. Of like, oh, we got somebody through. I wonder what happened. We need to locate him.
Like, now
it's
Cyrus
going to take some time to figure out where he went. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we find out he went in and just immediately was face to face with Cade, and then they've been fighting.
Yeah, I want to see if they're going to do that. That's going to be interesting.
I mean, what else could they do? We know Cade is in there, and they're sending Crow in.
Yeah. No, you're right. It is interesting. Yeah,
they had 5 months to work their stuff out, so when we get there, it's peaceful.
I mean, I just hope, like, to me, this is a layup narratively that could be cool, but I'm worried they're gonna mess this up. Like this is something we've all been waiting for, right? This is the
The Cade
elephant
Crow
in.
thing?
Yeah, it's like the elephant in the room, and it's just like I wonder how they handle it. But the question I have before we get into that, how do y'all feel about the way they're handling Crow with, especially now with him and the Mara relationship? Because now they're saying, hey, we want him to go through because you guys have this connection, and you'll be able to see each other through the void and all this stuff. But like they are full on, we are telling you everything about your past life. They're not doing traditional Guardian resurrection stuff with him. They are like, you're still Aldrin in a, you know what I mean? In a way. So it's like,
Yeah.
how do y'all feel about that? Like, I'm just curious, like the way they've handled the character.
I feel like after Savathun broke that barrier anyway with so much of like a Matrix download of, hey, here's all the stupid stuff you did before. When she already gave him a lot of that, I feel like that veil has been lifted. So now whatever is told to him is just kind of completing the picture that he might be missing pieces of. But if he's already got, 2/3 of a puzzle and somebody's like, hey, I've got more information, I don't feel like that changes it because that Guardian veil's already been lifted. To me, that's, I don't find it as big of a deal with him because Savathun was the one who broke that so long ago. I don't think giving him more information changes too much at this point. That's my opinion on that, at least.
Interesting. Trav, your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are that this is really sloppy and messy, and I think that that is due to the fact that this entire plotline appears to have been shoehorned in. And I think you continue to see the veil not really making any sense, and how it
agree.
is now an integral part in like getting people through, and the fact that the ghost was able to use the veil to open it, the witness did it, but for some reason we can't do it unless we use this like vague sister brother bond that Crow and Mara have, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and I just find it kind of tortured at this point, and I kind of just want them to just, my hope is that it'll end. They'll give up the charade that they're doing, and they'll just either put Crow in next week, or they'll hold off on it, and then when they put him in, they'll just be like, all right, we found a way in and it doesn't matter. Because I really do think for a general audience, like my guess is most people who play the annual expansions of Destiny do not engage in the seasonal content. That's my guess. And so my guess is that they're going to hand wave a lot of the stuff that happened, right? Amanda is dead because it seemed like she died in the cutscene during Fall, right? And now she's out of the picture, and people who are part of the EU know how she really died, right? They got to see the extended cut, but to everybody else, she just got crushed by the witness or whatever happened. I'm probably misremembering that. And then the problem of how are we going to get through this portal has been solved, and it doesn't really matter how. And so I'm hoping that they don't spend a lot of time dwelling on the mechanics there, and I have a feeling that they're not going to, because I think they're barely able to hold together how they're explaining it now in the seasons, and so I think it'll probably just be a hand wave. We'll move on, and we'll get to see what their final story is. God, I hope it's good. Let's be honest, it has to be better than good in order to satisfy Destiny fans, because
Well, that
we've been
actually
waiting for
takes me to my kind of next point of the show. And I saw this kind of floating around on Twitter. Tassie made a video about this one today, so I kind of wanted to get your guys' take. Is the Witness worthy of the Final Shape expansion? As a villain, as the final piece of the darknesses, whatever, do you feel like he is it? I think more is a better way to phrase it. You feel like the Witness is a worthy finale for this 10-year franchise? Because I saw different discussions about pyramid ships being empty and there not being an army, comparisons to Savathun, who had a lot more buildup. The Witness, he's had like 3 lines, versus Savathun, who, we love Deborah Wilson in the role. It's all of those pieces, and we're leading into this finale. Do you feel it can deliver on a narrative that is worthy of a 10-year finale? And do you feel like the Witness fits the bill? Like,
no.
Yeah, I guess I'll start, because my prediction, or I'm sure my opinion is really predictable in this, but certainly not is my answer. And I've kind of been raising the alarm about this for a while, because as you mentioned, I think I really long ago was like, the fact that the pyramid ships are empty is crazy to me. It seems like a complete miss on the promise that they've been kind of alluding to for a while, that this greater force is coming, and apparently this greater force just so happens to fit into one character model that they had to build, which is probably super convenient for them. And the fact that we learned the witness's history and how the witness came to exist, and I mentioned on this show that I thought that was a devastatingly unsatisfactory answer, I think takes away a lot of the scariness and the mystery from that character, and also gives you questions about like why they did that, or what the heck is the point of putting all of your people into one physical form. Basically, I have a lot of questions, and I'm just super nervous that it's not going to meet it. I think that Savathun had a lot more credibility going to her expansion, where like they had built it up a lot more. There was general foreboding in like what she was doing and her abilities and that sort of stuff. And I feel like none of that has been explained with the witness, and the answers that we have gotten about the witness have been pretty underwhelming. And so I think that is already the biggest obstacle that they have going into this expansion, is that they just haven't sold that character or given us enough reason to actually afraid of it. We don't know really even what it is trying to do. I mean, we do vaguely, but it doesn't really sound like a threat, right? It's sort of like I'm going to change the galaxy or reshape it in a way that I like better, which is just way too vague and abstract. I really get excited about. So yeah, I'm not just a little. I'm very nervous about this expansion, and I think the weakness of the antagonist is definitely one of those.
Yeah, not much I could add except the problem right now that I have is that his first appearance, I believe, was the what you call it raid, right? With the
It was after
Rogue.
the
After Rogue, right? Or no?
Yeah, it was after the Rogue
His
raid.
first physical appearance, right? So I thought
that
was
when we
cool.
saw him standing in front of the planets or whatever.
Because technically he came to us after Gauntlet of Salvation, when in the form that we can recognize, I believe. Like it looked like us. But
that is the retcon.
That's the retcon,
Certainly.
right?
Yeah.
So, when I first saw him, like, okay, this is cool, fine. The problem is he's not menacing enough. He doesn't feel like a true threat. So it's like what Travis said, I don't know what they're trying to convey to me. Are they trying to convey to me that he is truly this universal threat that we need to be afraid of? Or is it, he's just trying to shape something that we just don't see yet? You know what I'm saying? And maybe ultimately what he's trying to do is the right thing. So they're playing this line where it's very ambiguous with him sometimes. And I got to be honest, the more screen time he got, the more I got disinterested in him as a villain. So especially during Nightfall, the scene that really pissed me off was, obviously we didn't like Callus as this bumbling mini boss, right? But there were scenes between the two and the interactions, I just didn't buy it. I'm like, okay, you made him your, what was it? What was the new disciple, so to speak?
Yeah, something like that.
So to me, it was a complete buffoonery of the coolness that we experienced with Rogue, right? Rogue, I thought, was really a dope character. I really felt the loyalty, the connection to the witness and stuff like that.
Well,
so you got
that.
So
character, right? We didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't know him, but almost he had more personality than I feel Callus was given in the end, because he was kind of just like a sniveling.
Well, Callus had more personality. It was just an unintimidating, stupid personality.
Right. But I think, what was those missions? Perseverance or something. They were like baby versions of the raid, where you would just go and you would listen to Rogue bloviate, right? For like a whole bit.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But I learned some things. I was like, all right, okay, I get where you at, what you did for your race, and yada yada yada. So I don't know. It just, when I saw the interaction with him, I'm like, this dude is a buffoon. Like, handle him. Like, first of all, I don't feel you would pick him, and then second of all, he's clearly botching the plan. He's clearly messing up. Like, handle him. And I didn't feel like he did something. Finally, it was like he like mini strangled him telekinetically or something.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Fifth Element.
Yeah, I didn't feel the power. I didn't feel like, this is something we've never faced before. Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
The only moment where there was like
there also was
him was when he just kind of flicked his wrist while he was like with the spaceship part. and you just had him kind of separate. That was the point where it's like, we don't know how powerful he is because with a flick of a wrist, he'll just kind of turn you into pieces, almost kind of Thanos separates you. That was one of the more times when it was like, we are, we are flies in the ointment to him. Basically, we're just annoyance because of he's so much more powerful than we are, but then we're going to somehow face him in a raid. It's weird. I agree. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, Trav, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say all of the other bosses of consequence, I feel like they have demonstrated their power in a way that we've lost. Like, when we were fighting Gaul like literally destroyed the tower. When we were fighting Savathun, she kind of like tricked everybody and messed things up. Even the Taken King destroyed all of the Awoken.
Yeah.
They kind of like demonstrated their might. And we had a couple years ago where who was it on the show? Was it Scarrow who's saying we're going to lose big in Lightfall? And I kind of laughed at him and was like, no, that's not going to happen.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it like I feel like it definitely didn't happen, right? Like us losing was that he got the veil and went through a door, right? And then we couldn't follow him. That's not really losing in any major. There was no major blow dealt to the Vanguard except for he cracked our window, right? When that was basically what happens. I feel like there hasn't been a like massive kind of demonstration of this guy's power yet.
Yes. And you nailed it. I figured out why I'm really disconnected with how they handled the prelude to Final Shape. Him going through the door, right? In my mind, he is in there about to do the whatever this evil is, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
It's like, realistically, we shouldn't have time to be like, all right, we got to figure this out. And he's in there already. Like, we should be feeling the repercussions like, oh my God, we are too late. It is like, I don't feel the pending doom like a Gaul situation, people losing their light. It was like, oh, he got through. All right.
Yeah. If this was a year of us like somehow being impacted by him being on the other side, that would be different, right?
Yes.
There's no like tormentors roaming around on planets now, just everything everywhere. It's
no repercussions. No, he's in there. He'll get to it when he'll get to it, and then we'll fear him, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get that part. That's the part where I think it's a bit of a fumble with the door thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I said they got their work cut out for the explaining of what the hell he's doing in there all this time that clearly is taking so long that he can't just destroy the entire universe or do whatever the hell he wants to do already. That's my thing. It's like, to me, it feels like a purposeful narrative pause for us to save the day when realistically he already in there. He should have won already. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are kind of on it. It's the feeling of threat isn't there. Savathun we knew would be trickery. I feel like Xivu or Wrath could have been a better villain. I mean, it would take a different writing path and the seasons would have to go a different way, but Xivu or Wrath we know a little more about. We've had a voice actor for Xivu or Wrath during the course of a season. We have had a couple of lines from the Witness. Like, truly, just a couple. Not much. We had more in a season of Xivu or Wrath with the dungeon with Xivu, and then also the Xivu line. We had 2 seasons. We had Deep and we had Witch. 2 seasons of Xivu or Wrath, and then we get the Witness, where we have a couple of lines built up. And it's, I mean, as you said, Travis, we get the explanation of the Witness's backstory from a cutscene in the middle of a season on the 5th week. Who knows how many people have seen that, especially the ones that just play expansions. Is that all the stuff that plays before you log into the final shape on the preview day? And when, servers are down, they're going to show that kind of stuff. It does feel anticlimactic is maybe the wrong word, but maybe it is right, because we've been building to the pyramid ships and the light and the darkness all coming together. And now he's in the Traveler, and then we wait for a year and he's hanging out. How long does it take for the Witness to create the final shape, to complete the task that it's going for? Does it take it 2 years to complete it, and we caught him in the middle year? I don't know. That's the timeline on this is weird, and I think would be when, especially the timeline was, the opening and closing of the door of the cutscene was part of the timeline of Lightfall. And I do feel like the writers are in a tough spot. I don't know if they wrote themselves into a weird corner, and they've been trying to, as Travis said, retcon a lot of things to fix a lot of the pieces along the way to try and put something together for a 10-year story. I would love to see them land the plane. I have my hunch that it won't land anywhere near like Endgame. I just hope we don't get an 8th season of Game of Thrones. Somewhere in the middle,
Oof,
please.
oof,
Somewhere in the middle.
oof.
I don't want it to be
That'll be
horrible,
rough.
rough.
but
Yeah, that'll be rough.
I can't get my expectations up to an Endgame at this point from everything that you guys said. But I hope that it's could be a bumpy landing. I don't want it to be a crash landing, if that makes
Yeah, of
sense.
course, of course, of
That's
course.
that's
Isn't
kind
that
of where I'm.
sad that people are already lowering their expectations to like it's not going to be an end game? Like, don't we deserve an end game? Haven't we been waiting
Absolutely.
longer
I
than
mean,
we
I would love
waited?
it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you. I mean, definitely, Nightfall humbled me. That show, I was like, damn, like y'all really fumbled the bag like this? Like, so, look, we know they're taking more time, right? We get it. But again, how do you, the problem is what you said also earlier, Travis. The veil is such a problem here, right? And they've got to get that.
I don't think they'll mention it even once.
That's what I'm
we actually
hoping.
get into the
Yeah,
expansion.
you've got to erase as if that did not happen. You know what I'm saying? Minimal mention. You've got to be action packed. You've got to. I need to see loss. I need to see some really cool moments that the fans deserve. Interactions. Obviously, Cade is big. We know. You know, what I'm saying Cade and Crow. What happens? Look, I'm Osiris man. But hey, maybe my man got like something. I need sacrifice. I need people go, oh, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like we need these
But I mean,
feels.
you've got your. I mean, take Avengers for an example with Infinity War and Endgame.
Yes.
However you do it, even with like the Dark Knight and the Joker, if you want us to care about the ending, I have to know more about the villain. So we have to spend a decent amount of time in the final shape. We've got to spend more time with the witness to understand what happens. Maybe the witness has contacted Cade. Maybe something's going on when Crow gets in there. Maybe Crow tries to go after the witness and it doesn't work out and we see some. I don't know, but there needs to be some. He needs time to develop because, I mean, in all of the whole 10 years of the Marvel saga, it was like, you had a little preview of the Gauntlet and then he's like, okay, if you got to do it by myself. There wasn't a lot of him. And that's pretty much what we've seen so far of the witness. But if you don't, I mean, 6 hours or 5 hours probably of Infinity War and Endgame for Thanos, and he didn't have the most screen time, but he had enough to develop from kind of the previous threats.
Well, because I mean that like it's because Thanos had 2 movies. He had one where he got to win, and we got to see how bad he was.
Beautiful.
And then the one where we beat him, but the Lightfall wasn't that. Lightfall wasn't Infinity War.
And that's why I was like, I don't know if you can do both of those movies in one expansion. I don't
think you can. I think he's gonna look like a pushover if we actually fight him. The only out that they have is if they have some great ace up their sleeve in terms of like the witness being right or us doubting, our path all this time or wondering if maybe it's got a point or something. They could do something like that, but I think the storytelling and the world building has gotten so jargon heavy and frankly nonsensical that at this point, unless they have something that they've
their favorite word.
They've been doing a really good job hiding this whole time. I think it's probably just going to go over, it's going to feel pretty limp, whatever the explanation is they come out with. So I'm really hoping I'm wrong about this, but man, I mean,
you had me optimistic the first time we was talking about it. Now you back to where we at.
Yeah, I mean, my optimism is like I still believe Bungie is a good company that makes great games, and the fact that they're willing to delay it is usually a good sign, and yada yada. But I don't know. I'm not the most optimistic right now.
I agree. They're in a tough spot. We can't sugarcoat it. So just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Hoping for some cool moments and again, how they land that plane with him. But again, I would like to really fear the witness. In the final shape. I would really like to see the threat here.
It needs to be his power. the witness's power needs to be shown
Shown, like, yeah,
visually, and
you
it
are
can't just
nothing.
be one sacrifice. Because if you take someone like Crow, goes
Mm.
in early. I mean, granted, Crow needs to be the beacon to Mara so he can get in there. But
Hmm.
even if, say, mission 1, somebody outside my door, so sorry about that.
Mhm.
Even if it's like mission 1, somebody goes and tries to go ahead or something and gets taken out. It's one guardian versus, say, the witness. I don't know how we can get shown the witness's power, because it's mostly just going to be the guardians that follow Crow inside of the portal. And it's not like there's an entire army. That's why I was like, I don't know how we get the scale of the power, because I don't know if there's enough that can face the witness that
Mhm.
will be threatening in our eyes, that this is a sizable force versus the, ultimate power. I don't, and if somehow that loses or something, I don't know. Can't figure out how it's going to all come together. So again, as you said, I do
Okay.
hope we land the plane, but not dwelling on this any more than we probably have to.
Yeah, we beat it to death.
Yep. But we do have about 5 months
Mhm.
plus whatever. So as we go through these 5 months, we'll be catching up with what's going on in the, we'll have the weekly wishes as we get into the light and all that other stuff, and we'll see how the finale goes. But there are going to be other games that we play. So that is one thing I kind of want to give you guys heads up for on the podcast is we're going to have about a 5-month break of Destiny. We're going to have a few little pieces here. We'll still kind of keep up on what's going on in the game, but there's a lot of stuff coming out this year. It's probably not going to be a 2023 year. That was a magical year of everything kind of culminating, which was just bonkers.
Safe to say.
Apparently, the industry still hasn't learned, because February/March is still stacked, and there's 2 giant games on top of each other, which I'm really sad about. But to start, I figured we could at least start with January, and I wanted to see what games you guys are excited for, looking to play, trying to play. What about 2024 for January? What are you guys looking at for, stuff that you're playing? I can guess one. I don't even have to try for Cog.
Dragon. 12. Let's go.
That was
that's
actually
the
that was not the one I was going to say for him, because he's got
Oh.
one trump card above that, and it's called Tekken.
I don't think so.
Tekken 100% beats it.
I don't think Tekken's above Infinite Wealth, is it?
It's just I have such a history with Tekken.
Yeah.
Like
Get
Tekken,
out of here. Come on.
bro. I bought a PlayStation for Tekken. Like Tekken is like Bay. Like you don't understand. Like that is my heart. But don't get me wrong.
Nostalgia trumps Ichiban, though. Come on, Tekken's
Ichiban
not
is the man. But I'm gonna be able to maneuver this. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on review codes. I'm working on splitting this release so that I do not have to overlap, because I cannot. Yeah, there's no way. Like from what everyone's telling me, Trav, they are saying this Infinite Wealth is going to be crazy. The early comments are in.
Mhm.
People already have their reviews, I'm hearing, and they're like, this is looking to be the GOAT like a dragon already.
Yeah.
So trust me, I know where my life is gonna live in, but it's just my nostalgic heart got to just get the main Tekken stuff out the way. All right, cool, it's done. Quest, all that, and then I can do the other side stuff after. Because I know what happens once Infinite Wealth starts. It's itchy. It's itchy in the crew and in Hawaii. How goofy is that? Like in Hawaii, it's ridiculous. And I love
Japanese game makers always put Hawaii in their games just to justify a vacation to Hawaii.
Yes,
they did that in Persona 5. They do it in a bunch of Japanese games. It's just like, we need a break.
Yeah. Yes.
I wonder if we could put Hawaii in our game.
Yeah. It's gonna be so sick. So yeah, definitely those 2 for me. What about for you, Trav, as far as January?
Yeah, I mean, Ichiban's the big one. I looked at the list. I didn't think there was a ton coming out in January that gripped me. Although there is the Apollo Justice trilogy, Ace Attorney trilogy game.
Oh, and you're an Ace Attorney guy. That's right.
That's right, baby. Yeah, so I'm gonna play that one for sure. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty quiet. I mean, I think I'm reviewing some stuff. What do we got for January? Oh yeah,
for
Last of Us Part
me-
2 Remastered. Been too long since we played that game. Prince of Persia.
That's mine.
It's gonna be a big one.
Ooh,
That's mine.
yeah.
That's the one I'm actually really looking forward to.
What's the
I've
release
never
date?
played. It's January 18th.
I think it's like one of the first big games this year.
Yeah, it
Oh.
is. And I think Skill Up got to play it. I saw his preview. Him and Austin both got to play it at different times. And then just from what I've seen, I've been doing more of the 2D action, everything from like Ori, and I actually really want to play Blasphemous. I just don't know if I'm going to get a chance to before this one, but it might be good to compare it afterwards. Oh, I know, I'm playing Lana, but I mean all of those, like both Ori 1 and 2, and then I played Rogue Legacy, and I've just been really enjoying like the 2D action kick. And I wasn't sure when they showed it kind of in the weird 3D, and then they like put that on the back burner. And this was quietly in development with it, and then this one looks just really polished, I think, actually. And it's not going to run the risk of an Ubisoft open world. It's going to be a 2D Metroidvania, and I think it's going to be pretty tight fun. And they said about 20-25 hours. Some of the stuff came out today. I'm kind of looking forward to it, so I'm going to try and actually stream that one. I don't know if I'm going to get to cover it early at all. I will see what I get to do. I'm going to try, but you never know on some stuff. But that's kind of mine. I was actually going to ask you on Infinite Wealth. Granted, literally about 5 days later, you got Suicide Squad for February 2nd, so I'm going to jump a month. But February 2nd, I'm actually looking at Suicide Squad because I think that one might be better than some expect. But
I think it's definitely going to be better than some.
I think a lot of people are sleeping on that one because
Rocksteady crushes it, dude.
Yeah, it's like I think there's a little faith there, and can't say anything.
Yeah,
so
people are
I'm
really
not going to say
negative
anything
on it for
but,
some reason. I don't know.
But I've never played a Yakuza game at all. And I know I'm like, I can't jump into Infinite Wealth or anything, so this would be ridiculous. So I will let you guys take that one and let me know how it goes. But I've heard kind of similar to you did, Cog, that the early whispers on Like a Dragon, but also you've said, I mean, Tekken, UE5, the story's actually going hard.
Bro, it is the greatest looking fighting game I've ever seen in my life. I don't care what nobody says. That game.
Who is your Hwarang?
Me? Hwarang. The Taekwondo, the Korean Taekwondo.
Yeah. I was going to say, I usually enjoyed Jin. I liked Hwarang. I'm trying to remember. Hold on. Tekken.
And I might have a list. She's so out of control. No, Challenger. She is so out of control and over the top.
There was one character. I always pissed my buddy off because he would always play Paul.
Yeah.
He was a Paul main. And I would always piss him off because he was better than me at more of the combos and everything, but he would never, I would always sidestep and grapple him.
Who would you take? Who would you take?
I'm trying to remember who, and it
King?
wasn't. No, it wasn't like King. No, it wasn't King. No. I'm looking up lists. I mean, it could be Jin. He was damn good with Paul. I'm trying to look at like a character list to see.
What you remember? What Tekken it was?
That's what I'm looking at.
Like
trying to
like
see,
back in the day, Tekken 3, early.
3 characters. Oh god, that's not helpful. Those are
Getting ready for the next battle.
See, and I was also probably thinking of like maybe a Soul Calibur character in my head. Because that was Killick, who I liked in that, I think.
Oh, yeah, we like the same characters then.
Yeah.
Killick was my guy.
But Jin was probably one that I would probably main.
Yeah,
but I would always just... Yoshimitsu I probably had a little bit of fun with. But I was never... I never practiced it as much, so whenever I jump in, he'd play for hours, and I would always play a little bit, but I was always the guy who'd be like, all right, I'd take the little beat him up, but every so often I'd catch him with like the sidestep where I'd dodge and then grapple. Pissed him off so much.
Seriously, E, the reason why, like, no BS. The Tekken, I'm a fanboy of the game, but I have to be honest coming into it. They appear to have not only addressed every single problem with the franchise over the last 2 years, the onboarding is god tier for beginners now. So that's the first part. The second part, they look like they revamped the online code. Since it's a Brian Fury, possibly. They've got a mode, they call it special style or whatever, for people who not into memorizing all these combos and stuff like that. So they have that kind of thing for onboarding. They even have like an online lobby kind of like quest game, which is completely separate, where people who are completely have no knowledge of fighting games. And the game literally goes through taking you to different arcades and matching up with these
Oh
fictional
my
people
god.
that are learning you the game. They look like
I've heard some
little.
of those are really, really hard. The ghosts, is
So
that what they
as
are?
it gets, the ghosts are great. Yeah, the
I've
ghosts are
heard
next level.
those
That's
are
something different. That's a whole different thing.
okay. I've heard those are gonna kick everybody's butt.
Yeah.
Like they're insanely strong.
But Michael, could you use a fight stick? I'm old school, Kelly. I wish I was never good at fight stick. I'm an old school D-pad guy. I know. I was a guy who bring the controller to the arcade. I remember they used to allow that. But yeah, no, it's really pulling out all the stuff. And the last thing I'll say is they learned. My biggest issue with Tekken is they were the pioneers of having cinematic endings and narratives for each of their characters. Clearly, they've been usurped by Mortal Kombat, right? Mortal Kombat has now taken storytelling and fighting to the next level. What they're finally doing is addressing the collective narrative of all Tekken characters in a story with the production value that seems Mortal Kombat like. So it's big, man. I mean, all the hardcore, even the most critical Tekken fans in the fighting game community are saying this looks like the greatest Tekken they've ever made. Like it has that feel. It's just going to be the balancing and the network code for the fighting if that holds up.
Well,
But yeah,
it'll
man, this
actually
is the one.
work out for Game Awards because it's 2024 and it'll be in its own best fighting game category. And I don't know how much is going to be there to compete with it because
Yeah, but
everything
we
came out
know,
last year.
we know what's going to happen there. I'm not going to get my hopes out. But no, if anyone wants to
Somehow
try, you
another
y'all never play
will be-
Tekken, this is the one to try. I swear, if you don't, this is the game to try. This one.
If I ever find time, but you know, that's
Mhm.
there's never much of that.
They're gonna ghost drop Soul Calibur and that'll win it.
If they drop, what would they be on 7 now for Soul Calibur? Is that the right
Jesus.
number? I feel.
It's been a really long time since the last Soul Calibur. I think that franchise might be dead basically.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I think they got put ice on it. Yeah, this hasn't really come back in a while. But for February, we got to February yet?
I was trying to not
Oh.
go too far. Like I squeaked
Oh.
Suicide Squad because it's February 2nd.
Oh, okay.
And that one, I think if you go early access, is technically in January. So if you do like an early access or you pre-order it, it's like January 31st or one of those weird ones.
Mhm.
But Suicide Squad, I can't say anything. So
Yeah. No, for me, I think the only thing other than that would be the Final Fantasy Rebirth for PlayStation. That's a big one for me. So I got to see.
oh
the
yeah, that'll be
confusion.
February for you. I was saving that for a
Yeah,
future
that's my
show.
February.
So that will be
Yeah.
that is when you
I'm all
set
in.
the
I'm all
Xbox
in.
aside and turn on the PlayStation and be like, here we go.
I've grew up with that series. I just plus I want to bother Hogue because Hogue feels what they're doing is so sacrilegious, and I love. It is ballsy. He's right. It's ballsy what they're doing. It's changing the way things ended in the original.
Yeah. Well, I've also
And,
heard, what is it?
mhm.
Is Crisis Core or Ever Crisis? One of those. I can't remember
First was a
which.
prequel. Mm-hmm.
What is Zach? Is that he the one in that?
Yeah, they're
Well,
Crisis Core is a prequel.
I heard
Mhm.
he's gonna be more in stuff. So I'm like,
There's
you're
potential.
just piling on more stuff that I gotta play to try and ever get into.
Yeah.
Even the remake series now is getting to be a little
Yeah.
much for me to get into.
It's
So I don't
daunting.
know.
It's daunting. There's a lot. There's definitely a lot. I want to say it is kind of tough for you because you don't have the first one as your foundation, so all this stuff is not going to resonate with you.
So if you play,
With the
okay,
impact.
so let me ask you this: you've played like Final Fantasy OG, pixelated
Yes.
and everything.
Yep.
Does that encompass, Ever Crisis or Crisis Core? Is all that stuff in the game, or is some of it
It's
outside of
talked
that?
about. Some of it, majority of it is there, but a lot of it was either just talked about. Like Crisis Core is really kind of like a prequel to Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Right. So then Final Fantasy VII happens, and then again, what we have with the remake is just to a point they went line for line, and then and that's where everybody's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. Like, what you are messing with the sacredness of what are we doing? But there is an excitement to it because if they pull this off, it would be crazy. So yeah, it's very ballsy what they're doing.
It would probably be something similar to like Chrono Trigger. Something major happens, and you're like, but it would be a similar thing as if they did a remake. And I know there's a point where a
Absolutely.
thing happens and they handle it a different way, and you'd be like, whoa, hold on.
Exactly.
Question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
get that.
I mean, this is sort of the yet another reason the remake, remaster, that stuff is so complicated in its terminology because I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is not really a remake. It
True.
is basically a sequel, right?
True.
Like it's kind of a
Or is it almost a
reimagining of it.
Yeah, reimagining
It's
or
a
a
reimagining.
Yeah,
retelling.
it's
Yeah,
like,
he's right.
it's like a reimagining of it. It has a different story. I would argue that that story is a little weird and probably worse than the original. But there's, in my opinion, I'm not really a big fan on remasters or remakes anyway. So I don't think
Okay.
there's a lot of fun in telling the same story that you've already told. So it is interesting, but it's kind of not Final Fantasy VII, right? It's kind of
Yeah,
Final
it's
Fantasy VII 2, which
yeah.
is
You're to the letter of the law, correct?
yeah, it's a little confusing when some remakes are like Dead Space and they're like verbatim remakes of the game that change almost nothing except for their look and some of the mechanics, or Resident Evil 4 changes almost nothing about that game. But then you've got ones where like the story's different. It's just even more confusing. But
Yeah.
yeah. I do love Final Fantasy VII, but I'm not. I don't know, the remake didn't
And do it for
capture
you.
me really.
I feel you.
Nah,
Oh,
not
total
really.
random question for any Final Fantasy people out there. The movie The Spirits Within, is that just like awful for where does that land for all of you guys who are Final Fantasy fans? You know which one I'm talking about?
I
Yeah,
think I remember that one. Yeah.
yeah, that's the
Gaia and like Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
do they do a movie for like all of their games? Because I remember Final Fantasy 15 had a movie as well, and that was also weird. They always do a movie. What's
So
up
yeah,
with
there's
that?
Final
That's a little.
Fantasy like Advent Children, I think somebody mentioned in
Yeah,
chat.
yeah. Sometimes they that's when I feel they just get too they start getting arrogant with their lore. They just feel they can do anything with the Lord. I'm just like, all right, I'm not buying into this. I don't care about none of this. Let me know what's canon and what's not, and leave me alone. Like
Also, I'm
uh,
surprised you like Final Fantasy VII Remake because I mean, look how they massacred your boy. You're a guy who loves turn-based combat, and they destroyed
oh, I see what you're saying.
your precious turn-based.
It's
Does that not feel
interesting.
like a betrayal at all? You liked
You know
it?
what's funny? It's weird. Normally, I would probably agree with you. For some reason,
Isn't
I
it like
guess
a
I know
hybrid though? It's
it's
like
a
a
hybrid because
okay.
the thing what they do where it's still turn-based to me is while you go through the memory, like
Because it
they do
slows
this
down, right?
pause. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do this thing. So technically, you got time to think between all actions. So I'm like, all right, I get it. So they went for stylishness and fidelity over the traditional thing that is going to piss some of the hardcore off. But I do feel it is fun. I have to admit, I thought I wouldn't like it, and I ended up like, oh, this is kind of fun. So I get it. The purists are not gonna like that. Any Final Fantasy VII purist is like, nah. I like the old school. They should have gave. Somebody say they should have gave us the option to have it the old way, kind of thing.
I think you'd have to build 2 games at that point. I think that
Yeah,
option would be too much
Yeah.
of a
I mean,
yeah.
too
I
much of a
think it's really
change.
just about like it's really about messaging. Like I kind of am starting to get annoyed with the remake remaster conversation because like there's no hard definitions,
Mission.
and I feel like because they did another game that did this and they
Well,
kind
now
of
it's just
had
Last of
to,
Us
but
Part 1 and Part 2 or like and then it's Part 2 remake or
yeah,
that's
but
a
yeah,
mess.
they call those remasters, and they're basically just re-releases. But what was the Stanley Parable came out with a new version of their
Yeah, it
game,
was
and
pretty recent. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have played that game, but it is not a remaster. It is a sequel, like a
Oh wow,
hard sequel with a capital S.
wow.
And they kind of released it as a remaster because you can't know that it's a sequel. It kind of has to be a secret. I don't know if you guys have played the Stanley
I
Parable,
never
but it
played
is a
it.
I
very
saw
weird
somebody stream it for like
it
5
is
minutes. It's like dry
it
humor
is a
kind of.
it is a super weird game, and if you knew that there was a sequel, it wouldn't make sense, and so they kind of have to sell you a remaster, and then you find out it's a sequel. So that's kind of
Somebody
the
playing with
angle that one
words
took.
there. Yeah.
But the reason I bring that game up is because I feel like now every game is doing that. They just call it a remake because Final Fantasy VII has a lot of brand recognition, and I feel like they think that they can capitalize on the Final Fantasy VII
Absolutely.
name, even if they're not
Absolutely.
selling you Final Fantasy VII.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what my problem is like if you're afraid to call it Final Fantasy VII V2
1
or
or
whatever it
something,
is,
yeah.
dash 2 or whatever, because you're afraid that won't have lasting commercial power, or that people will not like it as much because it's not the same story, then I think you've kind of lost a lot of credibility as an artistic. It's like just
Yeah.
make your game.
But
Like
do
I
you,
don't
do,
I don't
okay,
get
here's the
why it
question.
has
Do
to
you
be a
think
remake.
the creatives who are actually making the game versus marketing, publishing, putting the label on the box, do you feel like that discussion actually happened? Or do you feel like, hey, we're just going to call this Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though we're going to throw some of the story out the window? Do you feel that they're like, hey, we want to call this, we kind of Final Fantasy VII inspired, or however you want to say that, but we don't know how to put it on box, and labels like, we want to make money, we're going to call it a remake. Do you feel the creative and, financial decisions came to a head at any point? Do you feel like that discussion happened? Because maybe it did. I don't know.
I feel the discussion
I'm
happened. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah. My guess is that it's just, creatives don't want to be pushing out the same game that somebody else made. And so they probably love that game, but they want to make it their own, and they're creative, so they want to, add their own flair to it or whatever. I don't really know. All I know is that it's confusing as hell to the consumer and kind of irritating when like now there's what is it? Three games that are called
Rebirth,
Resident Evil
Rebirth.
4. There's Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4 VR, and then there's a separate game called Resident Evil 4 that is a remake, and then there's a separate game called Resident Evil 4 VR that is it is not the same game as Resident Evil 4 VR. It's Resident Evil 4 VR, but it's remake version. Do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm very it's a lot at this point, and I would like there to
game
be
names are a
rules.
little weird now. Yeah, there's no
no,
hard
sure.
and fast rule, and again, between all the studios, they get to call them whatever the hell they want. It seems.
Yeah,
You just got to try and be a little smarter consumer on our end to figure it out. But no, I mean, I'm looking forward to Prince of Persia. I will be very curious to get the take on, the next Yakuza Hawaii entry where, man's on a beach in a thong or naked. I don't even remember what part of that preview I saw. And then Tekken on the other side for Beast Fighting Game. And early access of Suicide Squad will be very interesting to see how that reviews as well.
Yeah, man.
You guys got anything else for this episode? Back in for 2024? I think AKA Bossman's getting here at the end of the show. Sorry about that. But if you're watching live, you're towards the end here for sure. Anything else for you guys?
No, not much, man. Pretty much wrapped up nice and sweet. And yeah.
It's gonna be a weird couple months, huh? For this show.
Yeah, we'll be show's still gonna keep going. I'm wondering actually no, I was gonna look at the dates now of the show to see, because I kept saying, hey, we need to get to 300. And I was wondering, it's like, hey, if something happens with Destiny 2 and it falls off after Final Shape, what's gonna happen? But I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're gonna hit 300 before Final Shape actually gets out. Or if we can like have a weird delay enough in there, we can get it to where 300 actually lands there. Hold.
June.
Because we did
It's
270.
June 4, right? So
June,
that's like 20 weeks.
Because we're doing
25
278 right now on June 4th. 300 would be. when does it come out?
June 4.
June 4. When is 300?
300 is June 6th as of right now.
Yo, that's ill. That works. That works.
So we cannot miss a
week. We have to do some type of show every week between now.
We gotta hit that. Yeah, we gotta hit that. That's fire.
I got a vacation at one point, so you guys got to hold it down at the end of April, or at the
April,
early May. There's one I'm gonna miss.
Okay.
Everything else I think I'll be here for. 300 is actually good. We missed just enough. We kept pushing it out and moved a few around. That's funny. I'm trying to think where we missed another one, because I did 277 part 1 and part 2. Because I broke that one into 2 episodes, and there's one other one that somehow we had to skip. That's funny. All right. Well, now we got our schedule for the year. Yeah, so you guys will be hearing from us on somehow a consistent basis. That would be fairly cool. That'd be the way to do it. Final Shape review. Episode 300 in BD.
Yeah.
And I have a possible guest in line for that one. I just got to work out and see if it happens. So many moons in the making. Chat, you guys have been amazing though. You guys have been fun. Anything else for you guys to wrap up, or anything to look forward to coming from you guys, or just kind of wait until things start dropping?
Yeah, getting back to the groove slowly, and yeah, looking at covering a lot of games. And there's one game that I can't talk about yet that we're excited to cover, and it was shown at I know I saw it.
No, but I understand. I'm like can't say
like
what I'm
saying. Like, damn, I'm not supposed to say
I'm
that.
playing
but
something that I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah,
so,
but yeah, I'm very excited to cover that. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun year. We got to see how this year's gonna play out. But yeah, man, back in the saddle, slowly but surely.
Travis, are you ready to get back to work?
God, am I?
Ready.
No, I mean, I never really stopped. I always find things to work on, but I'm definitely itching for another review.
Yeah,
really bad. I'm still waiting for this Pal World thing. So it's kind of weird because the game
Pokemon
is
with guns. I gotta know. I'm
Pokemon
curious.
with guns. It's gonna be in early access, but its Steam says January 2024. So I don't know if that means
narrowed it down this month.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like maybe not.
It's a little suspicious. So I'm like, January 2024. Is that tomorrow or is that January 31st? So I'm kind of waiting on that. So yeah, I don't really know what my worry is that this year is just going to be a slower year for games and that I'm not going to have as much work. But I mean, I hope that's not true. Although maybe it'll be good if I have a little bit more time to work on other shit. I don't know. I am supposed to be getting married this year.
Yeah, you probably could use a little break for that. Somewhere in the
I don't know how
realm.
much. I mean, how much time could that take, really?
It depends on how involved you are, but I guarantee you, your spouse will be busy. Depends on if you'll be part of it or not. But if she's doing it all, she will be swamped.
I feel like I will be part of the wedding somehow.
Somehow you'll be involved.
Somehow I feel like I'll be involved in that.
Show up and say one word. Just make sure you say the right word.
Yeah,
yes, I know.
See you. That's gonna be dope,
dude. They're gonna have all of us in one place for only the second time.
Yep.
Yeah.
On one coast and now on the other coast.
And on the other coast. Yes, correct.
Right. Do you guys have plans? Like, are you guys staying in San Francisco for any stretch of time or what?
I will try and figure out a way to make it somewhat extended. I just haven't obviously narrowed anything down yet because
we have some people coming up from SF. So I think the plan is to like my fiance and I to like not do our honeymoon and just hang out with folks. Because I'm taking that week off, so I'm just gonna be like, all right, wedding's over. Who we hanging out with today? Where's the fam at? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like, well, like before the wedding, you guys are gonna be swamped. So that may be a point where if my wife and I get there early, maybe Cog's there early, we might go, grab a bite in San Francisco while you're crazy with your stuff, and then after the wedding, after you guys do all that, then a day or so later, it's like it would be nice to hang out, but also know it's like we're not the only ones in the area, so we'll have to figure all that out, and we'll coordinate.
Yeah, definitely gotta. Yeah, I'll work it out.
Yeah.
Definitely gotta. I'm trying to make it a couple of days.
I'm excited to hang out with you guys before and then after I lose my virginity.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be quite a story for us to hear about. Yeah,
I'll be completely different. I'll show up in a leather jacket. I'll hop off my motorcycle. I'll be like, "What's up? What's up, nerds?"
Yeah, he finally took the suit off. Finally took the suit off. Yeah.
Yeah, you bunch of
dorks. Changes his name and he's just Travis now. He doesn't even have time.
Yeah, dude.
Triple
T.
They
call me TJ. You guys didn't know I'm a TJ now? What's up? How we doing?
Yep.
Anyway.
My only request though, I may have to, if Travis is available or not, I have to step foot on sacred ground. How far?
Oh, Santa Clara? Yeah, we got to go to Levi Stadium.
How far?
Oh,
even if I just need to drive in and just
I mean, honestly, I think my wife would be okay going with, but no, I would like to, because I think preseason will be weird. I doubt they'll even have started quite by the time your wedding is because it's too soon. But I'm with you. If there's stadium tour or something, especially right now, like knock on wood, by the way, we got that bye week coming in with resting everybody. I saw the rest in Purdy already. Some of them are going to get some reps.
Seat. What up?
Number one seat. I mean, man, shout out to Arizona with the listening to the commentary on that upset, they were going, they finally got real towards the end of the game. Be like, honestly, who thought Philly was going to be this close to the Eagles or to the Cardinals this late in the game, and then they ended up pulling off that fight? I was like,
Yeah, that was crazy.
they clutched it for us. I mean, honestly, the 49ers
Pretty
need
much.
to buy the Cardinals like around or something because
Yeah,
like they
that
won
was
it
a
big
gift.
time.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys really want to touch sacred ground, we can go to Candlestick.
Ooh.
In that stadium
The
is still
original?
around.
Does it even
Wait,
Yeah,
exist?
they
Oh,
knocked it down.
Oh, it exists. No, it exists and it's horrifying. It's
oh
like
God.
a
Is it an
do it. It's
abandoned
it's like
homeless
a
shelter?
post-apocalyptic. Yeah, dude, that neighborhood is like
Oh,
very
no.
weird right now.
No, we'll pass.
Because
I'll go to the
no.
new one. I'll go to the new one. That's
There's
okay.
there's obviously
been to Candlestick.
there's obviously plans to like do something else with that area, but like SF is a pretty small space, and so when they were like, we need a bigger stadium now, and they were like, all right, so SF bought like a big lot in down the peninsula.
Mhm.
Yeah, the old one is still there. I actually
Wow.
drove by it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, damn, I forgot that this is here. This is such a shady
Wait,
area
they
now.
didn't knock it down. They didn't cannonball. They didn't wreck it?
There's like there's a plan to do something with it, but
All
I
that
mean,
type-
I drove by it and it didn't look like it was down.
I
mean,
will
it
tell you,
looks like
there's a
it's
lot
still-
next to my house that they used 3 years into us living here, which was 11 years. So like 8 years ago, they used a lot kind of in front of our house to help do all this massive highway construction. That crap is still empty. So if you want to know
That's
how long it
hilarious.
takes for all that city stuff to get figured out and the right people to go through, that is
Yeah,
so much red
especially in
tape and
San
paperwork.
Francisco,
Oh, I'm sure
man.
it's
Yeah.
worse for you guys. 'cause-
San Francisco is really hard to build stuff. We're getting
Mm.
better at that. We're getting rid of some of our kind of red tape to hopefully not make it. I don't know if you guys saw there's a story in San Francisco about a porta potty that somebody wanted to install and it cost $1 million to do so. So yeah,
That's
sometimes there's too many rules.
Mhm.
But yeah. Yeah, we'll find some time to do
We'll
it.
figure it
I hope that I have time to hang out with you guys after
Yeah,
the
that'd
wave
be
down.
we'll sneak one in, but
Mhm.
yeah. So
We'll
yeah,
sneak
that'll be
one in.
August. Yeah, June, August, a couple big ones there for us.
Mhm.
But I do want to say, if you guys are at least made it this far into at least the live show, next week we are going to have Brianna on, and she is actually a St. Jude's researcher. She is a hematologist. So I'm going to claim it now. I've got to ask her about the blade joke because there's not a lot of hematologists, period, anywhere that you ever hear in media. And then in the original Blade, the girl in the movie is
You just
actually
said you just also made a joke on accident by saying hematologist, period.
fair enough. Anyway, I will try not to do that. But next week we've got her coming on, and she does a lot for Game to Give, which is the Bungie Foundation stuff. I met her out at GCX last year. And then the following week on the 18th is when I will have my GCX stream. I'll be coming in after that. And then we've also that podcast evening after my stream is kind of that midday. We've got Jared Ludy, and that is the producer at Bungie for the Bungie Foundation. For
Nice.
all of Game to Give, for everything they do for iPads for Kids, for Direct Relief. He's the one putting the whole Game to Give stream thing on. So those next 2 weeks we'll be having both of them in here. So as we have a little more quiet time in Destiny, it feels like a good time to fill it with other things. And with the Game to
Nice.
Give charity drive starting, perfect timing. So if you
Absolutely.
guys have any questions and stuff, thank you for the jokes, Travis. Just keep them reasonable.
Yeah, stuff from
All I
Warlock,
had to do
boy.
is raise my eyes now. That's all. Just raise
No,
my
no,
eyebrows.
yeah, I'm
Whenever-
already.
whenever
I'm
you
already
say something,
his
I just
eyebrows
go,
moving. I'm just scared over here.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
already
like,
know.
I have my off button right over here. So I'm just like, can I get to it fast enough? I don't know. So anyway, for episode number 278. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure starting off 2024 with a fun show. And for this episode, it has been
the last
last
word.
Different.